Hi, it's Nicole from A Day of Small Things. It's Saturday morning. I have 2 days until the seminar day. I'm in the library this morning, still to finish Act 4 and 5 of Poetaster by Ben Jonson. Poetaster by Ben Jonson is the main title for the discussions this coming seminar. I have here with me The Writing Life by Annie Dillard and The Art of the Personal Essay by Philip Lopate. I like taking books that have nothing to do with my current study from the library shelves and just put them on the side so I can read them when I have a break. Writing personal essay is still something very much on my radar, although this is not the subject I'm studying this year, but I would still like to keep reading about it and keep practicing writing personal essay. A little bit about Poetaster. Ben Jonson's Poetaster was written and first performed in 1601. Is a satirical comedy that targets literary pretension and hypocrisy in the Elizabethan literary world. It's set in ancient Rome, used allegorically to represent Elizabethan London, and Jonson wrote this as part of the so-called Poets' War, or War of the Theatres, maybe you have heard of it, which was a public feud between playwrights Ben Jonson, John Marston, and Thomas Dekker. So the play centers around Horace, a stand-in for Jonson himself, who is portrayed as a virtuous and talented poet. He is contrasted with Crispinus, representing Marston, and Demetrius, representing Dekker, who are depicted as pretentious, envious, and morally corrupt writers, poetasters, or bad poets who pretend to be great. Hi, it's 10:30 in the evening now. I went to have lunch with friends and spent the whole afternoon there playing a board game, and I had a wonderful time, even though I didn't get any work done. But that was okay. I was very happy that I was there. So this one-day vlog is now turning into a 2-day vlog. I will keep going with Ben Jonson until Monday afternoon when the seminar happens. So let's see how I do tomorrow. Hello, I'm having my lunch break. I hope you enjoy this music in the background. I'm just waiting for my friends to come out of Tesco. They are getting their lunch. Just finished the dissertation seminar on digital skills and information management. Super helpful, and met a professor who has very similar research interests as myself. I'm going to email him and discuss more, hopefully. We'll go have lunch now. Hello, I'm back home. When I say I'm back home, I mean my home library. This is the cafe. I don't mean my house, obviously. The technicolored lights in Durham Cathedral slightly threw me. I hope you enjoyed that. So I had a really packed day. I got there about 11 o'clock and, well, I got there about 10, but the seminar started at 11. And I had 2 seminars as usual, and I also managed to get an appointment with my academic advisor, so I went to meet her after the second seminar. As I said, at lunchtime, I had a very helpful session on dissertation writing, digital skills and information management, specifically on managing references and how to use AI. So that's that. I am here mostly to tell you about my afternoon seminar, the uses of literature, and we were looking at Ben Jonson's Poetaster, and very interesting discussions. I'll just tell you a couple of things. Firstly, we discussed the relationship between literature and money. In Act 1, Scene 1, Ovid spends all his time, all day long, writing poems, and his dad comes in and say, you should stop doing this, you should study law instead, because that's what's going to give you some income, give you some money. And then Ovid said, but I want to be immortal through poetry. And then his dad said, even your god of the poets, even Homer, was a old, poor, blind beggar. What does immortal fame give you? What's the good of immortal fame if it doesn't feed you, if it doesn't fill your belly? What's the good of it? And I'm going to cut your pocket money if you don't go into law instead. And then Ovid said, all right, I will study law and become a lawyer. I will be able to make law into poetry as well. And there's something very interesting he said afterwards. He said to a friend, I tried to write words freed from rhythm, yet all unbidden song would come upon befitting numbers, and whatever I tried to write was verse. He was basically saying he was too ingenious. So yeah, we had discussion about, does studying literature give you an income? Does it lead to a job? Discuss. And then the second thing was satire. So Poetaster is a work of satire, and Ben Jonson was a satirist. And the job of satire is to criticize the society, criticize the rulers. There's a really lovely declaration from Horace. Horace is basically Jonson, right, in this play. He said, this is not a quote, this is a paraphrase. Living to an old age or an early death, rich or poor, at home or in exile, whatever the circumstance, I will write satire in spite of fear. So this is my paraphrase of Horace's declaration of his resolution to write satire as a career for the rest of his life. That's what he wants to do. But Horace is attacked by his fellow writers, his fellow poets, has been bitter and not very nice, generally speaking, because he keeps criticizing people, right? So he says, as a satirist, that's his job. he can't stop doing it. He's not trying to be bitter. He is trying to be helpful for the society, for the good of the society. And interestingly, Jonson makes Virgil speaks up for Horace and all the satirists, and basically to say that's their job, they can't help it, and this is actually one of the best things. He says, "'Tis not the wholesome, sharp morality or modest anger of a satiric spirit that hurts or wounds the body of a state, but the sinister application of the malicious, ignorant, and base interpreter, who will distort and strain the general scope and purpose of an author to his particular and private spleen." So Virgil is basically saying Horace hasn't done anything wrong. He's wholesome. His sharp tongue is wholesome. It's the interpreters, the ones who has base mind and ignorant, who's kind of misunderstanding on purpose or misinterpreting what Horace is saying. But it's quite funny. Horace is attacked by being a satirist, just as Jonson himself is attacked by being a satirist. And Jonson wrote this play to clear his name, almost, to explain himself. And he makes Virgil to speak up for him, almost like a self-justification. And it just feels a bit odd. One of the things that strikes me most while I was reading this play is how self-aware this play is. I'm not sure if I use that word right, so just let me explain. So when you read a Shakespeare play, or when you watch a Shakespeare play, it's a good story. You are involved and engaged in the story, and you don't think about this is theater or this is a film. You're just watching a good show, a good story. But when I was reading Poetaster, every single line, every single speech I read, I feel like this is Jonson speaking. So every time Horace says something, I think this is Jonson speaking. Every time, somebody else says something, I can't help mapping the characters in the play to real life characters. It just feels very weird every time I write down a note. I almost can't decide if I should say Horace said this or should I say Jonson said this, because they are so identical. There's very little distance between the characters and the real life individuals. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not my favorite Elizabethan, Jacobean, Elizabethan, 1601. What is it? It's not one of my favorites. It's interesting. He said something about his contemporary criticized him for. He says, others think whatever I have whatever I've written, wants pith and matter to eternize it. So as in, basically whatever Jonson writes, it's not weighty enough, it's not good enough to last forever. I read it and I sort of agree. Jonson's writing and stories are just really average after you read and watched Shakespeare. It's not on the same level. I said to a friend, it's almost like watching an epic film and watch a sitcom. Jonson is a bit like a sitcom. It's very funny, it's very witty, but it's not very deep. I don't want to sound too satirical. Is that the right word? But yeah, I prefer Shakespeare, let's say. So after that seminar, I went to see my academic advisor. Finally, we've been trying to arrange a meeting for a long time. It's either she's busy or I'm busy, so I'm glad we made it today. I really wanted to meet her before I start to write my dissertation proposal. And I'm glad I managed, because she gave me very helpful advice, and I have some action points I can now go on and carry out and hopefully make some progress over the Christmas holiday. For the next seminar, we are going to read it's called Apology for Poesy. I think it's basically Philip Sidney's argument for literature. I think he wants to say reading makes you a better person, but I haven't read it yet, so I'm not sure. But that might be what's coming next. I will go now, so that's all for today, for this weekend. Thank you for coming along. I will see you in my next one.